What's going on, guys? Corrosive Bullet here, and today we are going to be talking about Set 2 of Dragon Ball Super Fusion World. We will be talking about speculation, predictions, we're going to talk about the cards that have currently been revealed, and some minor discussion on my thoughts of what the last couple of bit of cards are going to be releasing in the set. So if you guys would like to see more stuff like this, more discussion type videos in terms of the card game, let me know down below in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will be sure to upload more content like this. Now, let's get talking about the format in terms of how this booster box set is going to be released. So, it's going to be handled a bit differently from what Masters normally does. As far as I've played Masters, I've been playing since set 10 of Masters, and I feel like every single time a new set came out with Masters, it was always it was always 8 leaders, 2 of each color type, maybe 10 depending on the set, because obviously black is a thing over on Masters. But it looks like they're actually going with a more reserved approach with set 2 here. It's going to be 144 cards in total. Only 4 leaders, 1 for each respective color, and we will go over the ones that have been revealed so far a little bit later in the video. But what kind of stands out from this is that not only is it less cards since the first set, we got less leaders from last set, and there's going to only be 4 cards that are reprints from the previous set. What this kind of indicates and tells me is that Set 2 is going to be more of a support booster set, meaning that there's going to be cards that not only will help to facilitate the leaders that will be included in this set, but there will also be a plethora of cards that'll probably end up benefiting and boosting up the current existing cards from Set 1, which is great. I think by not flooding this booster box set with cards that only benefit the new leaders, helps to keep the relevancy of the leaders from set 1 around. And depending on what all these leaders kind of warrants having additional leaders for additional playstyles and whatnot. And another thing to kind of note and maybe talk about too is that when it comes to the set 1 stuff that currently exists, there really only kind of is like one way to kind of play each archetype. And if you know what I'm talking about, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's like green is energy ramping. It's consistent energy ramping, not wasting energy on playing battle cards early in order to be able to ramp energy to play your higher cost stuff later. Yellow is all about board control. Whether it be flooding the board with Ginyus or being able to reset your rest stuff to active and setting your opponent's stuff to rest. Like it's that same exact kind of mentality. Red is obviously about disruption, whether it be heavy on crit or lowering attack power, increasing your own attack power. Blue is always about popping stuff to board back to hand or to deck. So, and constantly just keeping a flood of cards in your hand. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in set 1. There's a lot of stuff in set 1 that really doesn't diversify the playstyle of each archetype. And I think by limiting the amount of leaders here, not giving full-on support to said leaders, but giving players options in terms of how to play these archetypes, whether it be from this new set coming out or the current set that we have, I think it's actually pretty good for the game. I think it's actually very healthy. It goes to show that they're not 100% willing to just completely power creep the old stuff out, but to keep them within relevancy and help to bring those archetypes up in some fashion. I think it's really healthy for the game, honestly. I think this is a really good sign. And that was always the hard part with Masters, was that with Masters, because they released so many leaders, they had to release an ample amount of cards each set that would benefit those leaders. And so you have a lot of leaders that kind of fell off, and decks that just weren't consistent enough to keep up with the stuff that was going on in the current meta. And it's just nice that they're kind of taking a slower approach with Fusion World, and they're actually like really thinking about what each deck kind of needs to kind of help lift it up. Because right now green is like top of the game, right? Green is the top of the meta, and that's in like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Green's at the top. So if there's a means here that will allow blue, red, and yellow to get built up to compete with green, then I think that's pretty cool. So let's get into talking about some of these cards and some of these leaders. So first things first, we got red. Now, a lot of people are going to be upset that we're getting our third Goku with red. And to be fair, that's not the wrong mentality to have. But I think this could really change up a means of how to play. This looks like it's going to be the first real true aggro deck. Not to say that current Goku leaders aren't aggro decks, but they more so are aggro in the sense of building up your own power, not so much filling the board. From what this kind of looks like, it seems to me like this particular deck is going to be more about laying cards out on your board, being able to swing with multiple battle cards per turn, and the whatnot. So I think that's a nice addition to the playstyle of red than what we currently have at our disposal. So let's look at the unawakened side. Draw one card, 15,000 power. To awaken, you'll have to be at 3 or less life, and you'll draw a card, then you'll flip it over. This is an interesting choice. I don't want to say it's a bad thing or a bad choice to do it, especially considering what else might be coming with this set to kind of help build that effect up and help make that make sense. But 3 or less life is a very interesting choice. It's going to take you a little bit longer to awaken. I feel like you're going to need to rely on some self-awakening to kind of help you get there fast enough. But I mean, it's not like the worst thing here, especially when it comes to awakening. So on awakening, he goes from 15 to 20,000, draws a card when attacking, which is standard, and then activate main once per turn. You pay 1 energy and discard 1 card from your hand, and you'll be allowed to play 1 battle card with 20,000 power or less with the Tournament of Power special trait from your hand. Now, there's one caveat to this leader that doesn't quite help when it comes to the older set, the current set. Unfortunately, none of the red cards that exist in set 1 have the Tournament of Power special trait. So, unfortunately, when it comes to playing Tournament of Power cards, you're not going to be able to get the most out of this ability from the old set. Now, that's not to say you can't really use stuff from the old set. There's some cards that have been teased with this set that could see some play and could have some benefit to doing so, and we'll go over those. But that does somewhat hinder this leader just a tad. Not to mention that you're paying 2 energy to play this, and I mean, there's no energy limitation in terms of what you can play, but there's, at the same time, depending on what they release, by the time you hit 3 cost and 4 cost, you're not really going to see too many 20,000 power or less cards at a higher energy cost. So it's a weird deck that I'm sure we'll see some play. Not 100% sure in terms of its viability as it stands with what we know is coming, but I think it's nice that they're at least adding a different type of play style with this leader, personally. So going over the red format, at least with some of the stuff that they released, we got this 2 cost, 20,000 power, Android 18. This card gets 5,000 power on your opponent's turn. That's really not bad, being 2 costs and 25,000 power on your opponent's turn. That kind of helps to keep them on the board. Your opponent's going to have to potentially throw higher cost stuff at this card to take it off board, or combo with lower cost stuff to be able to get it off. It's not terrible, and this works with the Goku leader effect as well. So this, I mean, it's relatively basic. It's nothing crazy, but at the very least, it does give some viability to the leader and allows you to kind of use that leader. This one kind of caught my eye a little bit. This is interesting. So it's a 3 cost, 20,000 power TN. Again, utilizes the Goku leader, which is good. On play, play up to 3 Tien Shinhan cards with 15,000 power or less from your hand. What's interesting about this card is that set 1 gave us 2 different types of 15k Tiens. We got the 1 cost 15k, or was it 5k? It might have been 5k. We got the 1 cost blocker Tiens, but then we also have the 1 cost 15k Tiens as well. And basically this Tien is the one that uses the multi-form technique. So we kind of see what's going on with this. I like this card, and I'm also concerned about this card because you can utilize the set 1 stuff. They're not Tournament of Power, and this is going to really heavily rely on the idea that you're going to have a lot of these cost 1 Tiens from set 1 in your hand. And you're more than likely not going to always have that option to be able to play up to 3 Tiens. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some support in this new set that's coming out that'll kind of help to get those cards in your hand. Some sort of like extra card draw effect maybe. But we'll have to see how that pans out. Not to mention the 1-drop Tiens being 15k. The blockers could be interesting and fine. That'd be an interesting strat to kind of use. Just play 3 blocker Tiens. But in terms of the 15Ks, come late game, the 15Ks aren't going to really help you out too much. So this is going to be more of an early gameplay. And if you want to couple this with the leader effect, you would need to have a lot of Self-Awakeners to be able to utilize this effectively in the early game. And that just seems like it's extremely costly to do. So really, it's very situational, but it's still a cool, something different than what Red kind of offers at the time. And it looks like we're going to get some Universe 2 support, so there'll be some Re-Brienne and Cocoonsa cards in the set probably as well, but we got a 2-cost 15k Rosie. When attacking, this card gets 5,000 power for the turn for each of your opponent's battle cards. Considering that it seems like this particular deck is looking towards building up, if you're playing against like Ginyu, if you're playing against like Trunks, who really benefits from having those Mai's and Pilafs and Baby Pans on the field, that you could see some use out of this Rosie. I think this Rosie actually is a pretty solid option, all things considered. So, especially when it comes to like mid to late game, depending on what's on the board. Again, kind of situational, but I could see this having a lot more play than the TN personally, but that's just me. So that's red, so let's go on to yellow. We got the yellow Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. This Vegeta is coming from the Resurrection F arc, which means we'll probably see a lot more Resurrection F stuff being played. Yellow doesn't have a secret rare, so I could easily see probably a Super Saiyan Blue Goku being the secret rare for this set. That's just a prediction that I have. It's not confirmed at the moment, but that's just kind of what I see, considering that we're kind of following an archetype with each of these leaders. Anyway, so on the Unawakened side, 15k, draw when attacking, and then when you're at 4 life or less, you draw a card and then flip over. And then for his Awakened side, 20k, draws when attacking, and then at the end of your turn, you can switch up to 2 of your rest mode energy to active mode. This is a very cool and a very different take on yellow. Frieza takes 2 rest cards, switches it to active. You got Ginyu. You pay a lot of energy, and you discard 2 to restand all of your Ginyu cards on the field. Cooler allows you to restand one Frieza Clan card on your field to active. This takes a different approach and restands your energy, which is very different from what yellow kind of does. I've always liked this in blue in Masters. This type of effect in blue on Masters was always like one of my favorite play styles. And especially with how aggressive like some of these yellow decks can be, it's kind of nice that you can pay out all your energy and fill up your board as best you can, whether it be Ginyu or some Frieza stuff to affect their board. But then also at the end of your turn, getting 2 energy to play on the defensive. So I think this leader will benefit from having like Death Balls and death balls and whatever the cooler extra card is, stuff like that to kind of help give you more defensive options for yellow. I think this might be an interesting leader. Especially considering that you could still run a lot of the same engine for the current yellow sets in this deck and still be able to use it effectively. So, like the Ginyu engine, you could run the Ginyu engine on this, and it would probably be pretty good because then you can play out all your Ginyu cards. You could swing out with all your Ginyu cards, let your opponent kind of focus board if possible, and then if you have some of the extra cards in your hand, then you can utilize his end-turn ability to bring energy back and play defensive while he kind of goes out your board and defend how you like. So I like this leader. It's really going to depend on what else is released with this set, but I think that this is a really good leader for yellow. It changes up how it plays and could really see some benefit. So let's go into some of the yellow battle cards. So we got a 3-cost 25k Goku. On your turn, as a permanent skill, if your opponent has 3 or more rest mode battle cards, this card gets 5,000 power. Again, situational. Frieza is the kind of deck, and maybe to an extent cooler, not on the Ginyu engine. You're not really playing a lot of battle cards, and in more times than none, you're maybe not having more than 2-3 cards on the field at one time anyway. So, it really just kind of depends on the deck you're playing against. This is going to be a very situational card. But, I mean, going up to 30,000 power on your turn for 3 costs is actually pretty good. I'd say this is a very interesting card to, like, add into, the deck here, personally. Then we got a 3-cost 25k blocker Piccolo. And when he gets KO'd, you can choose one of your battle cards and switch it to active mode. Which, it could be... I mean, there's some utility within this Piccolo. I think you could definitely use this. What's his... let me move my camera here real quick. What is his combo power? 5,000. There we go. Let me move this over just so you guys can see the combo power. That's my bad. But yeah, so I mean, 5k. It's nothing crazy. I think there's some utility that this Piccolo will use. I think this is more than I can probably say for the next card we're going to show on the set, from the yellow set, which is this 2-cost 15k Gohan, 10k combo power. On play, you choose up to one of your Piccolo battle cards with a cost of 3 and switch it to active mode. I don't see much utility with this Gohan. Again, it's 15k. You can maybe utilize him for combo power, but he's 15k, so come mid to late game, he's not going to really be all that beneficial. When it comes to swing and lead or helping to clear board. You're paying 2 costs into him, which you can use that 2 costs for other things that could probably benefit you more. Again, I just don't see how this card is going to get more use than maybe the Piccolo or the 3-cost Goku. And I don't really see this replacing much of anything else in terms of the set 1 stuff. So... I don't know. I think you're kind of adding this guy in for combo power and maybe on the off situation that you could get some use out of putting your Piccolo back into active. Which I guess would be more so like, you play a Piccolo and he stays on the board after your opponent goes. And then you can play this guy on your next turn to put him back into... You could swing, play this guy, put Piccolo back into active. Like, that might be the way you use this guy, but even then, I don't know if you would run a full set for this. So, he's okay. He's not anything crazy. It's just, I think you might not run more than maybe 2 or 3 of these in a deck. Sorry about that, guys. Had to take care of the dog and do something with that. But anyway, so this Zamasu just came out. It just got released today. 15k on the Unawakened side. Draw 1 card when attacking. When your life is at 3 or less, draw 1 card, then flip this card over. Similar to the Broly leader, he awakens at 3 life. Instead of taking a card from your life to your energy, you're just drawing a card once you hit 3 life. So you stay at 3 life once you awaken. And then once he awakens, 25k. Once per turn, on your turn, 1 energy. Discard 1 card from your hand. When your life is at 2 or less, add the top card of your life to your deck. This is a very interesting leader, mainly because mainly because he's as strong as Broly leader, which, again, I think blue, in its current state, could use a bit more defensive power, and this definitely gives you a little bit of an edge in terms of leader potential. But it's a matter of how often are you going to see this Awaken ability and use this Awaken ability. It's only going to cost you 2 cards to really do it, whether it's your energy and then just from your energy, one from your energy, one from your hand. But that's also your draw power too. So if you consistently stay at 1 to 2 life, you could see a lot of play from this ability. But that's also your draw power, so you kind of have to take hits to get the cards that you need. So I can maybe see this ability being useful when it comes to the second to last or the last turn that you take before trying to end the game, just to give you a little bit more sustainability in the match you're playing. But it's also very... I don't want to say he's like unbalanced. We'll just have to see what kind of support this. We'll have to see what kind of support this Zamasu gets, which we'll go into what kind of support we could maybe predict from him. But yeah, I think this Zamasu, it could be good depending on what he does. Awakening really isn't a problem with blue. The way that I play my Trunks, I always tried to get Trunks down to 4 life on turn 1. So come turn 2, you could easily get down to 3 life and go from there. But in terms of his Awakened ability, we'll have to see, like, in terms of how sustainable that actually is in the long term. But it's cool. I think blue getting a 25k leader actually is very beneficial for blue, considering that blue has the roughest matchup, I think, out of all the other archetypes in the game. So this card, I think, could be something interesting and fun. In terms of what is coming for blue, we don't really have much in terms of what's coming for blue. We do have this, though, which is a 1-drop Shin, 5k, 5 combo. On play, you look up at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal 1 card with Potara in its special traits, and add it to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom of your deck in a random order. And it's nice because it's not a cost... There's no cost restriction. There's no, like, character restriction from that. It's just the Potara special trait, which, as we see with the Zamasu here, he has Potara in his special traits along with Supreme Kai. So having a searcher like that, I think, will be very beneficial for the Zamasu leader. Seeing as there's a lot of Potara cards kind of being shown to us this early on with not really much else outside of the leader in this card, I think it's safe to say that blue will be getting a secret rare, potentially Vegito. I'm thinking Vegito would be a standout card to incorporate into the deck, but again, we'll have to wait and see. Blue definitely could use a lot of support and a lot of help. Blue doesn't really have much in terms of mid to late game that can kind of help to capitalize it. You got the 6-drop Zamasu, but if you're running the Trunks leader, you're not going to be getting the most out of those 6-drop Zamasus, except for maybe your last turn or 2. Goku Black leader really benefits from those 6-drop Zamasus, so that's more of a specific playstyle for a specific leader rather than like actual support. So the reality being is that blue's only real like heavy support that they have is the double strike Vegeta that you get from the starter deck. So I think blue will probably get a big benefit from this set. I think that with the addition of some of these Potara searchers, the secret rare Vegito, which I'm sure is going to be the case coming out, I think blue we'll see a big uptick in blue, I think, come next season, but we'll have to see. And then not discussed because it's not been revealed yet as to what he does, but it's not been revealed yet what he does, but the green leader is confirmed to be a Cell. We will have a green Cell leader. In terms of what I expect from the Cell, I mean, I'd imagine that green will probably still use the 5-cost Goku and the Broly. So I think that in terms of energy ramping, I think it's going to be a very similar playstyle probably. You could probably use Jiro's Lab with the Cell leader as well. I think you could probably get some use out of that. It would be kind of interesting to see if Cell is an early Awakener. Green would be kind of interesting to have like the ability to maybe awaken early, but then have no like real additional effects on it. Would be kind of interesting to see what the Cell does in the end, though. We can maybe make a video again once that drops, but I mean, unfortunately, this is all we really have in terms of set 2. So, let me know what you guys think. Do any of these leaders so far appease you? Do you guys think that you'll see some playability with these? Will you guys be running these sets? Let me know what you guys think of all the new cards down below in the comments. But with that said, that is really all I have to talk about and reveal today. So thank you guys again for the love and support as always. Please remember to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more discussion videos like this, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.